People, we're back. It's 12th man. It's Gooner to Gooner. One of my favorites. Deluded back in the house. Back again. Bro, first of all, how the devil are you, man?
I'm good, man. One love for having me, Dan. It's always nice to chat to you. Not necessarily nice what we have to talk about considering the club, but it's always a nice little Arsenal chat or Arsenal therapy session, as you got it titled. Smash the like button, folks. Yeah, man. Love having me, Dan.
We need some therapy, bro, because outside of Arsenal,
Definitely.
the Europa League is looking a little bit nervy, bruv. So I wanted to ask you how you're feeling about that now that it's looking like United and Spurs have one foot in the final.
I mean, Dan, when you look at it, obviously you got your supporters cap on. Naturally, you're jealous because we've been quote unquote good or been competing for trophies in the last couple of years. As you know yourself, I would love to have been wrong, or maybe I don't know, but we've been left twiddling our thumbs while people are winning stuff. And that's one thing I have to give Man United. As rubbish as they have been across a domestic campaign, they still managed to make history and win trophies. Again, Liverpool have won the league. City potentially could win the FA Cup. Between Spurs and United, I'm going to go United all the way for the Europa League final. I mean, we hope we can come back from behind against Paris Saint-Germain, but bro, it's looking dark. It's looking scary, man. And naturally, there's going to be more pressure from our fans on our football club and more frustration, man. So disappointed, man. We have to turn the game around next week.
Yeah, we do. Big time. And before we come into that, the fans the other night, let me talk about that. What were your thoughts? Because a lot of people were saying the fans were rubbish. It was no atmosphere. It was dead. The tifo was embarrassing. The video was cringy from MIKEL. Look, as much as I agree with the majority of that, it wasn't the best and it didn't look the greatest. Does that really have a massive hold over the actual end result to you?
No, it doesn't. Of course, in a game of small margins and definitely how the Emirates looked where Real Madrid's concerned, you obviously want it to be noisy and long term, we're never going to get it, but we're never going to be like Anfield away when people say that or St. James's Park. Naturally, you want Arsenal to be like that. But, bro, we've never been that club. Even Highbury was dramatically better than the Emirates. We've never been the biggest and baddest and noisiest of fans. And like you said there, once you're on the football pitch, it doesn't really matter. And obviously, I weren't at the game, but when I speak to the likes of Kenny Ken, DJB, Aaron, and the rest of them, they all have a very different kind of dynamic in relation to what actually how the fans were at the game and actually how the media is going on. Yeah, you mentioned it there. The tifo was absolutely abysmal. As Curtis said, pick him up. It looks like a bed sheet. It's horrible, but all that stuff superficial. What does that have to do with our structure off the ball, taking our chances, in-game management from MIKEL Arteta, or just approaching the game in the best possible way? Had we have done all of that in an opposite world, then maybe I might look at the atmosphere. But unless I'm wrong, the fans aren't playing. And of course, Dan, I want it to be noisy, but I'm a big fan of fans are entitled to do what they want. If you've paid your money, you can do what you want to do in that ground. And yes, sometimes our fans need to give the players a bit of energy and vice versa. But I think the players have got to set the tone. Like you was at the Madrid game. I have no doubt the fans were rocking anyways. But when you see the way the players were moving, it gives you a couple more percentages. So if the players are acting nervous, of course we're going to be nervous. And it's even when I look at it again, I wasn't at the game, bro, but it's very contradictory, I feel, because some fans that were at the ground are saying, if anything, towards the second half, it kind of fell off and it was kind of jumping from the start. Now, if I go on what the media is saying, there was next to no atmosphere. But for me, Dan, it's irrelevant, bro. It's mad irrelevant. It's irrelevant.
It is. It is mad irrelevant. I didn't understand why that was the focal point. Like when I was hearing neutral fans, rival fans, Arsenal fans mentioning it, I was like, well, the rival fans are just trying to have a dig. Some of the fans are just trying to twist the knife because the knife's already in. When I heard Arsenal fans blaming us over other stuff first, I thought, wow. Now, look, I'm one of the first people to say the fans were a disgrace when they were. The fans should not be doing that. I disagree with many fans that accept mediocrity and that say, oh, well, give it until next season. That's a different story. But when we're coming for our own atmosphere over the fact that it was poor, I was there at the game and I didn't think it was outstanding. But the first 15, 20, we got absolutely dominated and we were killed atmosphere-wise. Now, I know that's no excuse because fans should never allow that to get to the best of them. I sit in a position in the Emirates, which I'm very lucky with, where we're always quite loud. We stand, we don't sit. I'm at North Bank, I'm at Red Action, so it's really, really loud in the concourse and out on the stadium. But around it and the surrounding areas apparently proved that it weren't that great. And the PSG on the screen and on TV at home were a lot louder than us, right? So we got a
Like
little
every
bit.
week, then.
Yeah, so we got a little bit screwed by that. However, I can't lie, bro. That did not piss me off the most. What pissed me was
Exactly.
a manager and the team. that was a hell of a lot more frustrating. From
Facts.
Martinelli and Trossard's missed one-on-ones to Odegaard's individual performance to the lack of changes from the manager, the team selection, and lack of substitutions or willing need to change it up. That, for me, was what frustrated me more, man. So let me break some of those down because there's a lot there. I think we've got to start with our captain at the moment, DG. Brother, I hate doing it because I don't want to make him the scapegoat and I don't want to start turning out that this guy's a scrub and he can't play football because it's waffle. He can play football. We've seen it for the last 18 months, right? But I would say for the past 6 months, it's been nothing short of poor. And that performance individually the other night is one of the worst performances I've seen from him in an Arsenal shirt. And what was more disappointing was it actually mattered. When it mattered, I needed to see him. When we needed him, there was no leadership. When we needed him to drag us across the line with his quality, it wasn't there. He was pretty much invisible. Ghost of guard, people are calling him. What is it with him at the moment, man?
Dan, I wish I had an answer for you, bro. I wish I had an answer. I wish there was stuff I could add on to what you just said there. I won't cut him excuses, but I will cut him the following. I genuinely think he's carrying something. You go to games, I've been to a few. I've been watching Odegaard closely lately, and it seems off the ball, he's not running naturally, if that makes sense. So I do think he's carrying something. That's not an excuse because at the end of the day, whether I think that or not, I don't know that. And it's not my job, quote unquote, to necessarily care. They've passed you fit. As you said, it's unfortunately, it's been 6 months. It's been on brand with Martin Odegaard, and it's unfortunate. Once you cross that chalk, we need to see some influence. We're not seeing goals. We're not seeing assists. We're not seeing any kind of influence on the game. They're letting them passing by. The pressing, it's there, but it's not really there like shown with PSG. You're doing the very minimum to the point where it's like, if this was poor, yeah, you've gone down there now. I know you're not going to get dropped for the PSG game next week, but there's arguably a case of you need to come out the firing line now. You're underperforming. You're feeling sorry for yourselves. We can't carry passengers, as you've been saying there. Like when we needed you, you wasn't there. This was our biggest game in 16 years. It's the semi-finals of the Champions League. It's trying to put a right over a wrong season, and it's abysmal. Like it just raises in question, Dan, like why we need competition in every position. And again, if Odegaard's to get his form back, that's one thing. But if this continues, something needs to be done. Like it's all fun and games doing it against a 10-man Ipswich side or getting an assist against Crystal Palace, but we needed you. We needed you against Madrid. We needed you against PSG. And as you said there, I don't want to scapegoat him because I think we could have won regardless of Odegaard's form? Yes, because he's been shit for 6 months, as you said, then we've managed to win games. I don't believe in blaming the atmosphere, but it's one where you've got an 18-year-old, 19-year-old in Miles Lewis-Skelly that's looking like more of a captain, whether it's the screaming and shouting, whether it's leading by example. We need something, and we're not seeing anything done from Odegaard. And it's, in terms of the magnitude of the game, unfortunately, it is one of the worst pound-for-pound captain's performances. And I don't want to bring other guys into it. I think Martin Odegaard's I think he's a good footballer, like what you said. I think he's a better footballer than Bruno Fernandes. But the one thing Bruno has is he's got mentality. He'll drag his team through the mud. I just think Odegaard, I don't want to sound like Graham Souness, but unfortunately, he's soft. He's a soft touch. And another thing that annoys me is, and I know he's not a player with that, any little 50-50, any little bit of anything, can you lose out? So it's a shit show from Odegard, Dan, man. What can I say that you ain't said? It's horrible viewing. Horrible.
It's horrible. It's not good. It's consistently bad. My question to you now is he droppable now?
100%. Now, whether I think you're going to be dropped for PSG, no, because in Mikel Arteta's mind, I might not see it and all of those things, but he's still going to play. You got to remember, like in that game, we only made subs, and that's another thing I'm sure we'll get onto. We only made subs in the last 10 minutes. And the first sub was a defensive sub for Timber, who looked crackered out there. And then it was for Wanyeri, for Odegaard. He's not going to change him. Whatever he deems Odegaard is doing, he believes he's doing. He believes this version of Odegaard gives him a lot more than any of the other options he has in the squad. So it's a bit like what me and you say, where it comes to, you know, what we should have done in the summer, what we should have done in January. I feel sorry for the fans. I feel sorry for actually Martin Odegaard's teammates. But any kind of issues around depth and players losing form, Arteta and the recruitment staff, excluding Berta, they have to hold that, bro. They knew what time it was in the summer. They knew what time it was in Jan. They've got to hold that and find solutions. And 100% he's droppable. Is he going to be? I don't know. Probably for Bournemouth. But arguably, he needs to be taken out the firing line. Like, you just need to maybe just stay on the bench for a bit and just get out of it, because you're in a terrible spot, man. Horrible.
Look, man, I hate this because I really like the player, but he's really, really frustrating the life out of me now. His decision making, his lack of performances. I think there's two questions here for you, right? Is dropping him probably backhandedly the best thing he needs right now? And that's the way you give Rice the armband in the next couple of games, is just by dropping him. And if he is actually not 100% fit, what's he doing out there, DG?
What is he doing out there? I don't know. That's one thing I'll give him. If you aren't fully fit and you're still going out there, it's commendable on one hand that you're still trying. Obviously, this is just speculation. We're not privy. We're not seeing what's going on at London Coley and things. And then maybe we'll cut him some advantages. And I could say that is a captain in many ways. But on the other hand, it could be seen as negligence. You're putting a player out there that don't look like he's running well, shot on confidence, was playing poor kind of before the injury anyways, and he's still going out there for the firing line, knowing damn well that he's the captain, he's 26, he's not the poster boy of Arsenal, but he's quote unquote one of the poster boys or the poster boys of the rebuild. So 100% he should probably be taking out the firing line. That's the last step. We've tried the whole playing you into form, giving you the luxury where you're playing poorly, and as I said, it's gone beyond that now. So you do need to get dropped, and indirectly you could give Declan Rice the armband. Like, I know Xhaka wasn't the flavor of the month, but there was a point where Odegaard was the captain. We all know Xhaka was the quote unquote real captain or the real kind of leader, and that could be a way of getting Rice into it, if I'm honest, or several others. Like, yeah, Dan, man, like he needs to come out the firing line. But do me and you really think he's getting dropped for PSG? Probably not.
No, facts, man. Facts. If he is getting injections, painkillers, if he's actually injured, if he needs an operation, I'd rather take him out the firing line
Let's do
completely
it
and
now,
rest
man.
him up. Yeah, we've got Ethan. It's not like we don't have anybody there. We could try and change formation if we absolutely had to, but I would rather do that than play Odegard continuously throughout these bad performances. It ain't good
Even
for him.
Zinchenko, as crazy as it is, Dan.
Do you know what? It's a good shout. And it was someone said actually was like, if you don't want to play Ethan, you don't trust him yet as his age or off the ball, then Zinchenko technically at the moment is actually doing or would do a lot more, if not better, than what Martin Odegaard
Yeah,
is
but you know
offering.
what they'll say, Dan, man. He don't do it off the ball. That's what they'll say with Zinny, but you got to use the other options. Like, there's nothing else, fam.
Bro, he didn't even try it, DG. That was the thing that frustrated me even more. I said this to Curtis and to Lee. If he would have started with that team, which was not a shock, by the way, when he did, and we lost the midfield, and in 25 minutes, he's like, we can't even get a kick. Let's change this up. And we ended up losing 1-0, and he's bringing on all he can. Tierney's coming on to try and create
You'd
some
say fair
crosses,
enough.
bringing on Zinchenko. I would have gone, we were just better. He tried all he could. I'm still not a believer, but you know what? He tried all he could. He didn't even try, bruv. It's just like, well, this is what we got. This is the best we can do. Oh, Timber's out. We'll bring on White. Right, what's next? Oh, 89 minute. We might as well bring on Ethan. How did he last 89 minutes? So for me, that's where I'm looking at Mikel Arteta now. Yeah, I'm looking at him thinking you're paid £15 million a year to make decisions. And those that are saying, what more could he have done? Well, I'll give you options. He could have brought Tierney at left back and brought Lewis Skelly into midfield. He could have got a straight swap for Zinchenko. He could have gone with Marino up top if he absolutely had to. And for me, should have done. There needed to be changes made. Now, if you don't want to do that and you don't believe that that's good enough, these are other options. I would not do these, by the way. But for mindset and for Mikel Arteta purposes, he could bring on his summer signing who's sitting on the bench in Raheem Sterling. Yeah, no one wants to see him, bruv. My point is he has options.
We have
Work it out.
options.
That's
Whether
your
you
guy.
want to use them or not, like you have to use them. And again, you have to hold that. Yeah, we've been dealt a harsh hand with injuries and all of that stuff, but nobody is in that team, whether he's in the squad, whether he's bought them or not, because he doesn't believe in them. Now, we're not idiots. We know there's squad players, there's regulars, and as Dan said there, there's not options I'm necessarily going to do. But what else have you got? If you at least try something, we could have conceded another one. We could have scored one. There's many eventualities, but at least you tried. We reverted to type. And again, when you isolate, I think I said it earlier, when you isolate the fact that it's a semi-final, Champions League on the line, what you indirectly said about other clubs winning trophies, it's on brand with our season, bro. Like, the manager does not change anything until the game's more or less summed up with the last minute subs. He did kind of tweak the press, to be fair to him, early on, but in terms of major standout changes, he doesn't change anything. The Martinellis and Trossards missing certain opportunities. A bit of a brain fart in what led to the goal that we conceded from our perspective. Superb from PSG. Ultimately, football's won and lost in both ends. We didn't do enough defensively. We didn't do enough in the final third. We lose one player out this team because we haven't got a squad. In part, their absence is felt. Arteta does that thing where, rightly or wrongly, He'll, there'll be one issue, and then he'll move people about, like you saw with Rice going to the six, Marino back in midfield, and that has an impact on our side. So Dan, we've seen this all season, bro. We've been seeing this since August. We're in May now, like, and it's not going to stop. And that is something Arteta has to arrest. If nothing
Mm.
changes, nothing changes.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
Yeah, it's horrible. And I see comparisons to last season, which is winding me up now. Because the comparisons to last season and the same stuff that he's doing is lack of trust of his players. Last season, he didn't trust Fabi Vieira, Smith Rowe, or Reece Nelson. This season, he doesn't trust Zinchenko, Sterling, or Tierney, which are his signings, by the way, other than Tierney, of course. Then you look at the scenario of dropping Havertz into the 8 against Villa and Bayern Munich. Now he's doing it with Marino, who, by the way, is an 8, but has done better as a 9. So there's so
Crazy.
many comparisons to the wrongs that he did last season, which he's now sticking by and being stubborn enough to do again. Now, with Marino dropping in, I don't actually hate on that because that's supposed to be his position. I think he's been terrible for Arsenal there, and he was terrible again the other night. But at least I understood it because Partey was out and Trossard through the middle has been scoring goals.
No
But when you knew in
Jorginho
the
either.
first 25 it weren't working, you had to switch it back up. Even if that means Trossard goes left and Marino through the middle, which I wouldn't have done because I think against Hakimi, Trossard's got no chance, right? But for me, you at least change something. He didn't change anything, bro. Lewis Skelly was the best player on that pitch for Arsenal. He was the one I actually looked at and
Once
thought,
again,
you're the one who looks like he's going to drag us across the line here, and you're an 18-year-old, bro. What's happening? Like, real talk. Like, Rice was the best of a bad bunch. Saliba and Kivior didn't do much wrong. Skelly was one of the better ones. And then I think after that, everyone had a bit of a poor game. But, Turkish made a good point in that PSG game. Lewis Skelly actually tried something a bit different. He thought, you know what, right, let me come into midfield and put that ball through to Martinelli. And he goes through, he missed the one-on-one. Saka comes from the right-hand side over to the left, does a amazing little run, dinks it past 2 and crosses it. Martinelli outstretched foot, just misses. Those are the moments in games where you think, right, ain't working. I'm going to take it on my own responsibility to
I'm gonna put
drive
the
us
game on my
forward.
shoulders.
When does Odegard do that? Do you know what I'm saying?
He doesn't do that. Like, I don't want to turn on the guy, but you don't do it. It's a mentality thing. You've got all the ability in the world, Odegaard, and all of those things, but you just haven't got the bollocks to drag the team through the mud or be an ever-present guy. And maybe you're just a soft touch. Like, maybe you're just not the guy. Maybe you're putting boots that you can't fill. Maybe you need to come out the firing line. You're just unable to do it. Like you said, you've got an 18-year-old in Lewis Skelly. And I'm not going to get at Odegaard, but the way Lewis Skelly talks the talk and walks the walk and just wants it, maybe it's because of how he is as a person, how he's been brought up. Maybe it's because in a nice way, he's got that naivety as an 18-year-old in that he's not necessarily thinking, oh, there's pressure on the manager. The Arsenal have been trying to win stuff and whatever. I'm just happy to be a footballer. And this is a dream to be playing in a game of this magnitude. As you mentioned there, Saka as well. It's one thing how good you are at your best, but how good are you at your worst? Saka weren't amazing. You were still prevalent. I think Timber recovered well. I don't think he got terrorized by Kvaratskhelia, but he was given a tough task. And even if people think he was rubbish, all right, that's one bad game for as many he's given us post ACL. As you said, Kivior and Saliba barely put a foot wrong. I do think towards the end of the game, Kivior started charging out of defense, but it's cool. I think you're trying to make something happen. David Raya showing more courage on the ball. Like, David Raya is showing more courage on the ball than Odegaard. I do think tactically, Arteta had no answers. The way PSG pressed, the way they evaded our press, the way they limited our passing options, their interchanging movement. Apart from when he kind of tweaked things after the first 20 odd minutes where we went to a more 4-2-3-1, there was nothing really. So it's on brand. It's on brand with what we know, Dan. Whether it worked or not, we played on Tuesday. The week in the build up to it, Arteta is clearly thinking of all the little isms and schisms he can do against PSG. Once we go into the game, if something goes left, he doesn't deviate against it. And that's for MIKEL Arteta, forget Arsenal for a sec, to go to the next level. You've got to have an ability to do that. You look at what Luis Enrique said before and after the game and actually the players of how they tweet things, how proactive he was with the subs. They actually, I wouldn't say we put them under the cosh, but when we quote unquote did, they did all right. Like, and that's the difference as a semi-finalist or kind of at this level, Dan. Like, there's no hiding spot. It's not good enough. You don't get away with these quote unquote cheap mistakes. And I know the players obviously are not going out there to lose or put in that performance, but when you do a lot of talking about bring your boots and the atmosphere and we want to do this, and even I don't want to get onto him, but Martin Odegaard, you literally on Arsenal.com before the game, it says we can step up in big games. We might not mean you. And we have to be honest, you haven't done it. We're used to this. Even when Odegaard's form was, a lot rosier than this, people were saying big games, what you want. And we're not seeing anything. We're not seeing you get on the ball. We're not trying to see you run the show. We're not seeing you put in tackles. We're not seeing you win duels. We're not seeing any consistent link-up play. This is on brand with where we're at as a club, man. And it's a shame. It's a shame that unless we turn this around, bro, in the last 3 years, we've had an opportunity to win the Prem. We've had an opportunity to win the champs or get to the final at the very least. And we're probably the worst of the bunch, really. So we need to do a lot better. It is what it is, man. Like, Dan, there's nothing more I could say that you haven't said, that we haven't said throughout the year of this football season. It is what it is. It's a shame.
Max, it is a shame, but it ain't over.
It ain't,
And
no.
a lot of people are acting like it is. And I understand people are deflated. I am just as much as everybody. I haven't got
Frustrated more than
confidence
anything.
that we can do it. But I have said all along, I don't think we will win the Champions League, and I stand by that. However, I have said I think
Hope
we'll
you're
get
wrong.
to the final. And I hope I'm right about that and wrong about not winning it. Look, forget Barcelona and Inter Milan. It was unbelievable, incredible game of football. Lamine Yamal is different gravy. I don't worry about that yet. I'm worried about PSG away. Thomas Partey was a massive, massive miss,
Massive
bro.
miss.
Massive. Now that he's back, do you have the confidence that if the team is as selected as expected, with Marino back up top, with maybe Trossard dropped, Partey in midfield, Rice back into box to box, Lewis Skelly and Timber if he's fit, do you have the confidence we can have a repeat of Madrid and do a madness over there, bruv?
I mean, based on the Madrid game, they've given me confidence. Based on the fact that, you know, like you said there, Partey comes. I don't want to put all my eggs in the Partey basket because I do think naturally he's a big miss. And obviously Partey is better than Jorginho. And I'm not saying Jorginho wouldn't have been poor, but I think everyone forgets we actually could have dealt with him. That would have meant there was no moving parts. I do think fans, some have even blamed Partey for the game at the Emirates. Obviously he got suspended, but he played no part. Naturally, because it means Marino can go back up front where he's been finding his feet. It means Rice is back into his 8 where his performances have gone well. It means obviously Partey might even have a chip on his shoulder in that, you know what, I let my teammates down. We have an opportunity of a final. I'm 31 years of age. Let's go. But more than anything, Dan, I need to see a psychological change. You mentioned Madrid, the way they approach the game, professional job at the Bernabeu, galvanized at the Emirates. I'll be honest, it looked like stage fright at the Emirates. It did. And the only good thing I can say about that game at the Emirates is that it's only 1-0. All we can do is try and turn that game around, make Luis Enrique, when we dump them out, if we dump them out, come to rule the missed opportunities at the Emirates. Let's just go again, man. Like, and maybe, you know, MIKEL Arteta, you know, he likes to stick to his script. He's very peculiar. It's like, this is how I'm playing from minute 0 to 90. Thomas Partey is a spring in our step. It should also mean we could press well as well, because the pressing was dead. Like Odegard and Trossard, it's a half kind of press. They're beating the press. It's dead. Like, yeah, man, Partey makes me a lot more confident, but more than anything, I need to see us approach it different psychologically, Dan, man. That would do the world of good for me.
Yeah. Oh, bro, I really hope.
It's a madness.
I really hope and I pray, man. Like I absolutely pray with everything I've got left that we get through. Look, I want to win it so badly. It's the Champs League. I've never seen it. Me and you want it badly. The one with the big ears. It would make the season incredible. But you know what? I hate to be the glass half full and have to give the option of this. If we don't win it, and we look at the other teams, real talk, that have won trophies or potentially could still win trophies this season, this could go down as the best if we win it. But surely this has got to go down as one of the worst, because Liverpool got Champions League football, trophy, Premier League title. Newcastle, trophy, Champions League football. Manchester City could get Champions League and an FA Cup in their worst season in the last decade. You've got Spurs and United in potentially a Europa League final, which would get them a trophy and Champions League football. Chelsea could get Champions League, but you know what? They could win the trophy and Conference Cup. Arsenal don't win this Champions League and we end up just second again with nothing else to show for it and just Champions League. We've had potentially worse seasons than all of those clubs because they're all doing that apart from us. That can't happen, DG. We absolutely have to win this game. Now, Thomas Partey gives me the strength and confidence that actually we'll have a little bit more difference of opinion in our midfield in terms of how we might be able to dominate a bit more, because I thought Vitinha, Neves and Ruiz
Ran the
made it
show,
easy.
man.
Oh, bro. Vitinha, by the way, what a player. What
Baller.
a player. He's literally bopping it around on our carpet. Do you know what I'm saying? It's just embarrassing. So Rice and Partey need to turn up and have the games of their lives. But Odegard has to as well, because I think he is going to start. The front three, Marino, I thought he was excellent against Madrid. Obviously, Saka and Martinelli were too. And I actually think Marino made those two play a lot better. I think Trossard one of the PSG fans I know said, I can't believe you played Trossard through the middle when our weaknesses are our set pieces defense-wise. We can't defend them. Mourinho would have caused us all sorts of problems if he was up top. And they were like, oh, thank God for that. He's not there. So that would happen again away. And then obviously at the back, we've got to keep it tight because if they score, it's going to be very hard. We need 2 just to take it to extra time, bruv. So what's your genuine thoughts on how we might go into this game? Do you think we'll go all out gung-ho? Do you think we'll keep it a little bit safe and balanced and try not to concede? Or do you think we'll just go, do you know what? Let's just roll the dice and go all out it against PSG.
I think we got to box smart, man. Like naturally, of course, you know, if football was an easy sport to predict, I want to come out fast, put them under pressure, quieten the fans, you know, call Donnarumma to make good saves, which he did at the Emirates. But I through nothing of Donnarumma, I actually feel they're flattering Arsenal a bit with the way they're making out. He had a monster performance. Like we offered really nothing. It was just competent, big him up. I think we got to box smart, man. I know you said you don't want to talk about Barca and things like that, and evidently we're not Barcelona, but the way they speak about if we score, if we can see 2, we believe we could score 3, and even the way Inter Milan and Barcelona handled themselves mentally, especially Inter away from home, that's what you kind of want to see. I don't think PSG. I think PSG are an incredibly good side, but I think they will give you chances like they did against us, and we didn't take them. That is how we have to approach it. I just want us to play the game, not the occasion. Like first 10 minutes, first 20 minutes, arguably, because they will probably give or take the worst of the worst. Let's approach that competently and see where it takes us. But me and you have been doing these streams for a while, and even when we used to just briefly just talk about the Champions League, I kept saying like I don't really fancy a trip to Paris. I don't fancy a trip to Paris, and it's funny how life works. We're gonna have to go there and do it. We're just gonna have to approach it smartly and big up PSG. But I mean, if you can approach the game at the Bernabeu, keeping your head in a certain way, you should be able to do it in Paris. But we have to box smart because what if we go gun ho, they go down the other end, score? Unfortunately, we're an emotional side. I do think heads drop if they can see if we can see the second or one goal on the night. So I think just keep it tight first 20 minutes, see what you can do. I mean, Partey being back's great, and going back to what you said, Marino's the sort of guy that might just nick us something. And again, you never know. If we score in the first 10 minutes, it gets a bit different. It gets end to end. Of course, individual quality wise, they cook us, but yeah, I think we got to box smart, man. We just have to arrive with the right mentality. To a degree, Dan, I don't think tactics and all of that plays a part now, man. I just think they've got to control themselves mentally. And I don't think we can afford to carry people. Odegaard, you know, football's fickle. I don't think you would change many people's minds. But if you turn up in Paris, it goes a right way to shutting some people up. Like some United fans are probably slagging off Bruno. And now he's in a bit of a purple patch. They love him. That's just how football works. But Dan, it's like stepping into hell, man. Like it's a crazy spectacle, really. And the thing is, Luis Enrique's probably planned for every eventuality. The ball's in their court. As much as I'm saying, not necessarily be conservative, but box smart. If it stays 0-0 in the second leg, they're through. So it's one where I'm happy. Honestly, I'm not MIKEL, Arteta, or all the players, man. But this is where. Do you remember we went out against Bayern Munich and we saw the articles about players with X factor and all of that kind of stuff? This is why you want one of those, because we could be crap. We might approach the second game crap, but they might just slap it in from 30 yards or a little mazy run results in the goal. It changes the dynamics. So let's just box smart first 20 minutes and see where it takes us. Of course, the longer the game goes on, the more we're going to have to pull forward, which obviously has a risk of us conceding on the other end. So it'd be interesting, Dan, man. Let's hope we get through, though, man.
Facts. I hope so badly that we do, man. I really hope so badly that we do. And I don't know, like, I don't want to do predictions because it's a bit too early. We've got Bournemouth first. We'll talk about next come into. But yeah, I would be very, very, very confident if we was to score early. But if they get that first goal, I think it might be tough. And do you know what? I'll say this lastly. If it goes to penalties,
Dan, man. Donnarumma, Raya, oof.
Well, one of them runs out the way of penalties. The other one saves them.
You know what? Give me penalties because that means we'll still be in the tie at some point, you know, to be fair.
I know that's true. But I don't know if my heart can take it, DG. Do you know what I mean?
Nah, it's the worst way to go out.
It's horrible, bro. It's horrible. But listen, we have got a game and we have to revert back to the Premier League. I'm not going to lie. I'll be lying to you if I said that this one is not particularly deflating. But Bournemouth, Newcastle and Liverpool with Southampton in the last 4 games. We've lost 2 of them, drew 1 of them, and then won 1. If we was to look at the reverse fixtures, that is. So we beat Southampton at home. We now have them away last game of the season. We have to go to Anfield, to the champions, to do a bloody guard of honour again. and we already drew to them at the Emirates, and that was a tough fixture, to be honest, because we had a lot of depleted injuries at the time. We lost to Newcastle, we lost to Bournemouth. Would you make changes for this? Would you rest? Would you make sure everyone's fully fit, or would you look at the momentum thing and think actually a few of them need some game time going leading up to the game against PSG? How'd you play this one, bro?
It's a weird one, Dan, because as we keep having this conversation, we don't exactly have any bodies. It's a proper weird one. I would only like to quote unquote, maybe they could play, but not start the game. Saka, bench. Benjamin White, let's get you some minutes because Timber looked a bit spent in that game. Let's kind of let's rest them. Other than that, we kind of have to go out there 9 times out of 10 with the same side, and they can't be tired. Like, look at the performance. We can't be tired. Previously, I used to be all for that, be cute and clever, rest games. As soon as it became evidently clear the Premier League is done, let's focus on the champs. But I've swing the other way now, Dan, if I'm honest with you, man. I think it's a momentum thing. I think you need to play your players and see where you're going. Odegaard will be a close one because do they take him out the firing line? Do they hope he plays and does well? Is it a chance to play Wanyeri in the Odegaard role, get some experience and whatnot in that? If you play Wanyeri in the 10 and then you want to rest Bukayo Saka, the summer signing, he's a yard man. I was supporting him, but that performance against Crystal Palace from Sterling, I don't know. For me, if put Benjamin White in for Timber, take Saka out for Wanyeri, give or take. Odegaard, you got 30 minutes to 45 minutes. Wanyeri, you're going in the 10. Sterling, it is what it is. Go out there, man. And, the last stretch of games that you referred to, Anfield, I hope no pressure FC's back, so we're amazing, but that doesn't fill me with joy. We should be smashing Southampton to pieces, but me and you both know a trip to St. Mary's isn't always kind viewing to Arsenal, and Ramsdale is probably going to turn into a prime Van der Sar. Bournemouth, you want revenge. Newcastle, Eddie Howe's had our number, and I can't imagine it's going to change, man, but you never know. So yeah, man, I think we have to go as strong as quote unquote we can, bar the exceptions against Bournemouth, man. I don't think it's a momentum thing. We need some sort of momentum. And to be fair, we're a weird emotional sort of team. Like almost every football team, we get a win, these players start believing in themselves. It creates a bit of optimism. And I guess you hear Luis Enrique and Arteta, they keep talking about small and fine margins. Maybe that's why I want to do the momentum thing, because maybe that's something that could be in our favor. But bro, I think we're effed either way, man. Maybe even rest Lewis Skelly, to be fair, as well.
Yeah, I don't want to see a lot of players. I don't care if we lose this game. A lot of people, I do care because I'm an Arsenal fan. But if we did lose it and it means that everyone's fit for PSG, all good. It's going to have to be a couple of people that play because we haven't got another 11 to put out there, right? Yeah. Raya in goal because Neto can't play because obviously he's in loan from Bournemouth. White right back. I'm going to go with Kivior and Tierney as centre halves. And then
you're going for it, man.
Yeah, left back Zinchenko. Then I'm going in the middle, right, with Partey because he has to. I don't think we've got another option. I don't want to see
and
Rice.
He didn't play in the week.
He didn't play in the week. And then I'm putting Wanyeri and Odegard together in an 8 and a 10. Odegard 8, Wanyeri 10. And then I'll go with Sterling, Trossard on the wings, and I'll go with that young kid up top. Or you could go with Marino, to be fair. Butler or Deji, or you go with Marino. And then you just go, don't matter about result. Go out there, give it your all. Wednesday's the most important one. Now, people might laugh and go, what? Because we've got to win this Bournemouth game to make sure we get top 4. You're probably right, to be fair. But what I don't want is to go all out against Bournemouth, get a couple of knocks, get a couple of injuries, and now we can't play Rice in the middle or Partey. He's back from suspension, but he can't play. Or on the wing, Saka goes down. I'd be like, no way, Saliba goes down. Can you imagine?
God forbid.
You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, unless we lose all 4 of our Premier League games, we're going to get Champions League. I don't think we're going to lose all 4. We might lose a couple. Don't get me wrong.
Where's the win coming from, though, Dan, man, with the way we're moving?
That's the question mark. So we're in a real predicament here. It really is all on that Champions League or bust because the league is deflating, bruv. It really is. Now, I might have gone really weak there and people might be screaming at me going, what are you talking about? We've got to go and beat Bournemouth. Yeah, of course we've got to. But we should have enough quality still, even with the team I put out, to not go and lose 3 or 4-0. We should have the quality. We should be able to give them a game. Whether we win it 1-0, whether we win it 2-1, whether we lose it 2-1 or 1-0, we should have enough quality out there. Sterling needs to step up. Trossard needs to step up. Wanyeri, take your chance. Yeah. Zinchenko, Tierney, take your chance. You're getting the opportunity again now. Whether you're here in the summer or not, put yourself in the shop window with performance that makes somebody want you.
Facts.
That's where I'm at. So I don't want to be seeing anyone getting injured, DG, because that's massively important. But just on the Premier League fixtures, quick, are you worried about this top four thing? That genuinely, because a lot of people have gone, Chris was speaking to me saying, oh my God, we're going to have to really, we're going to struggle here. We've got Bournemouth who we can't beat. We've got Newcastle who have lost all 3 games. We've got Liverpool, Anfield, Southampton. But I think surely with the teams around us, win against Southampton, as long as we don't get thumped by the other 3, surely Champions League football's all right, isn't it?
Dan, that's where I feel a bit weird because I do think we're a shooting for top 4. I haven't really necessarily worried. But that being said, indirectly, because we've been dropping points and got 13 draws and whatnot, we've been drawing ourselves out. And as you said earlier, with that run of games and our form, you can't really see where the win's coming. Now, I hope we beat Bournemouth. That would be great. That would, as you kind of been alluding to, confirm stuff. We're a weird side in that no pressure Arsenal. We could lose all the others and beat Liverpool at Anfield finally, or put in some level of performance. If I had to bet money, I would say the Southampton game at St. Mary's. But as you know, that's never really plain sailing for our football club. Even going back to the season, we wore this very kit away from home. That actually was where we dropped points. We are in the top 4 race, man. Like before Liverpool confirmed the league title, we were closer to being in the top 4 race than we was to pip them. So we are in the top 4 race. I do think we're going to win those games. I wouldn't say we're relying on other teams, but like all the other teams that mathematically could leapfrog us and things like that, you're relying on them to drop points. And it raises in question because I think a couple of teams, I'm not sure for Chelsea, but I think we've only got 1 more win than them or something of that ilk or somebody. So it raises in question our performances this season, why we need depth, and ultimately why we shot ourselves in the foot. We are in the top 4 race, and I guess that's probably why indirectly I want us to name our strongest team, or in fact, better yet, I wouldn't say a top 4 race, but we're in danger of slipping into one, really. So, yeah, we are in one, man. That's the reality. We've been complacent, and complacency is a killer. And as we've seen, football's a weird game, man. I don't think we're going to finish outside the top 4, but let's maintain our position. Like, I'm pretty sure I speak for most Arsenal fans. In the grand scheme of things, I don't really care about finishing 2nd or 3rd or 4th because, again, it's the same position. Everybody's celebrating nothing. I know, dependent for the accountants out there, depending on where you finish, there's more money that you get and all of that kind of jazz, but it doesn't matter. But then I'd be a hypocrite because if I say I don't care and we go from 2nd to 3rd, I'm going to be there in the summer. Regardless of if we finish 2nd, I think there's regression. But I'm going to mention the fact that we went from 2nd, where we was holding on to it. We're now 3rd, Champions League this, League and FA Cup that. So let's just maintain our position, man, and just try to win games, man, because that's all it is. Win games for winning games' sake in the league now. Like, it's a write-off, bro. It's a write-off. It's horrible.
It's horrible, and what's even worse is that we could end up miles behind Liverpool if this continues. If this form continues with what we've been drawing games at Everton and Brentford we drew, and all of these games we've drew, I think it's 14 draws now, in fact.
Yeah,
I look at
see?
the scenario. If we
Yeah,
keep
14
drawing and
even.
keep losing, and we've got to play Liverpool, we can end up being about 23 points behind them, bruv. That's not
Exactly.
acceptable. Like, that really ain't. And I understand that circumstances have allowed us to crumble and give up on it a bit, but over my dead body, when's the funeral, bro? Like, let's be real, because he's
It
he
happened already,
completely
unfortunately,
it's
man.
happened, and it ain't good, man. Which leads me nicely to my last question before we come to a close, bro. This ain't a very nice question to ask, to be honest, and it's probably not a very easy one to answer. But I'll come with you anyway because I know you're quite straight talking with it. I think there's 2 kind of sides here. There's a side where I think me, Curtis, maybe Turkish, and a couple of others are, which is like, win me this Champions League or I'm done with you. I want a replacement. I want an upgrade. I think you're on a bit of the show last night when we were talking about it as well. There's the
Oh,
other
what a
side.
show that was, man.
Yeah, that was lit, man. There's the other side of the coin as well, though, bruv, where it's like, if he doesn't, I'm happy to give him another year under Andrea Berta because I believe that he can do something. Which side of the coin are you, do you think? Or are you a little bit in the middle where you're still quite like, not sure? Because I think that's a real hard question for some people to answer. I'm very black and white with my stuff, and maybe I'm too so. I just say it how I feel and see it. I think we've given this guy enough time, and if he can't get us across the line, I think we do need to upgrade, and we should be looking now at our next manager. But I don't think they are going to. I think the Cronkies are going to keep him whatever. So sometimes people say, what's the point of the question? But still, we have to ask how we are as fans, right? We still need to understand where we are as a fan base. Do we still believe this is the guy, or are we still not sure? My question marks are that he hasn't done it yet. Now, if he goes and delivers it in a couple of weeks' time, and we're Champions League winners, all is forgiven, all is done. We know we've got the guy that can now win, go and do it again. You've now got that winning mentality. This group of team have won something which we've never won before. This is brilliant. If we don't do that, I don't think it's bad for some of the question marks to come out about replacing and upgrading him, DG. But where do you think you're at, bro?
Dan, and this is the problem with cult culture in football. There's no nuances. I think there's a valid reason to be black or white, but it's like even people that want to keep Arteta, if they ask a question about him or why hasn't he done this, you know how the cult kind of thing goes. And even with the other side, for me, I think there's both logical sides, man. I'm quite aligned in the middle. I do think the fact that his new staff have been given new deals, he's gone 15 million a year. Bert has just come in. You know, they can probably hide behind the fact of, despite all the injuries in the summer, we've been to 2 semi-finals and there's no excuse for the Prem and whatnot. And we went out on penalties against United. Those are what they will hide behind. For me, I believe a lot of people at this football club are on borrowed time. Unfortunately, I hear what people say about who we're going to get, next manager, all of this. I don't think that's a reason to keep someone, but I hear that. But at some point, we're going to have to try something different. And it's annoying because I don't think any manager or man is without faults. I do think Arteta has a lot of good qualities. I do think you've done a lot well for us. But getting over the line, every year we do not get over the line. That question gets bigger. You're a good coach, but are you a winning coach? That's where we want to go to. Like you mentioned it at the beginning, all the other teams that are winning and whatnot. I don't think he gets sacked this year. I would have had the mentality in the summer that if you don't get over the line, we need to revisit stuff. And I still maintain that, even though I don't think it's going to happen in the summer. So I guess with Bert, you're just going to have one more year and you've got to win something. You know, I know we're kind of focusing on the Prems and the champs, but you've got to win something. You've got to create a winning legacy. You've got to create some more history for this football club. He's on borrowed time. A lot of these players are on borrowed time. MIKEL Arteta is on borrowed time. His coaching staff is on borrowed time. Unfortunately, I know people want to sit there and just blame the board, etc. And by no means am I, and I'm sure Dan the same, a massive fan of the Cronkies or Cronke, whatever. But at the end of the day, they could turn around to us and say, listen, we've broken our transfer record. We've ripped up contracts. We've bought this player. We've done that player. You know how we operate. We get people in and we leave them to their devices. Can you sit here and blame anyone else but ourselves as to why what we've been talking about with the PSG game, or why we've been blown out of the water in the Premier League? You can't. You absolutely can't. And even if you wanted to blame the owners, MIKEL Arteta clearly believes he can win something here, because you took the job in the first place. You signed a new deal. So regardless of what you have to say about how the ethos is, you believe you can get over the line. And every year we don't, bro, the question is going to get bigger and bigger. And as I said, you're on borrowed time. The only one above the players that is not on borrowed time to me is Berta, because you've just walked into the place. And I hope maybe, I'm not comparing Arteta to Arsene Wenger or Berta to David Dean, but maybe you could be the David Dean. Big up Marino for what he's doing and Kai for what he's done, but we don't need them kind of signings again. You need to get a Gyökeres. You need this one. You need that one. So, yeah. And when it comes to Arteta, Dan, I feel a lot of people that are more Arteta apologists, they kind of you can't big up a guy and then have mediocre expectations. It's like Bukayo Saka. If Bukayo Saka doesn't get double figures, we're going to have something to say because he's got the scope. You can't say Arteta's a great manager, a great tactician, this, that, the third. And then when we lose or don't get over the line, I'm not saying he's fully to blame. But it's everybody but him. It's everybody else's reason. And is it Arsenal FC or Arteta FC? Again, I understand the logic. Who else are we going to get? What's the club going to do? But by that logic, we're not going to get anywhere. What if we lived in a dream world where Arteta won us a Prem, a Champs, multiple competitions, and he said, you know what? I've had enough now. Like Jurgen Klopp, I've had enough. I want to keep it moving. Where are you going there? He's not going to be Arsenal manager forever. I know a lot of Arsenal fans, all we've really known for a lot of people is Arsene Wenger, give or take, with Emre and Lomberger's caretaker and where we're at with Arteta. But change is always required, bro. He's on borrowed time. The summer, everything has to make sense. No more of this false 9 and false centre mids, 6s, 8s, 10s, left wingers, strikers. Let's keep it moving. No more galaxy brain stuff. You're on borrowed time, bro. If you don't win a trophy, I can't disagree with people that want you gone this year. You probably should be gone. If you don't win it next year, you probably need to go. And I don't know when. Well, when did he sign that deal, Dan? When did he sign his new deal? Summer last year.
Yes, he's got 3-year deal, hasn't he? So
in this, before me and you know it, he's going to be in the halfway point of that contract. So
yeah,
you're one of the highest paid managers in the world. And yeah, you could turn around and say, boy, I've been managing in the Champions League for 2 years. You know, we did better against Bayern than your previous managers. We're in the semis now, first in 16 years, which is all great. And there's some good talking points. but there's nothing set in stone. There's no history. There's no Arsenal fan that's growing up now, 20 years from now, when they have children, are going to be talking about stuff. As you said at the beginning, United, as much as we don't want to be like Man United, they're finding a way to get it done. Conference League with Chelsea, of course, I don't want to be there. They're getting it done. I don't even want to talk about them lot down the lane and even consider it, but they're potentially in a final. Need to get over the line, Dan, bro. Need to get over the line. And he's on borrowed time now. Like, I don't think Arteta has done enough to say you're just Arteta out forever, or you're just Arteta in, he's my guy no matter what. You haven't earned that credibility. For me, I'm always on upgrading until you get over the line. It's long, Dan, man. It's frustrating.
Look, man, it's time to deliver. And one thing I will say, if we don't win this Champions League and he stays, and Berta sorts him out in this summer, there is literally nowhere to hide. There's no more excuses. You've got your striker you wanted. You've got your attacking midfielder. You've got your winger. You've got your centre-back pairing. You've got your midfield trio now. You've got your backup to each of your positions. This is your team. You've now spent close to $1 billion. Let's go.
Been here 6 years.
Bruv, it's too long for a club this size not to win a trophy. Do you know what I'm saying? And he's thrown these domestic cups in the bin. So they have, that's just, he shit the bed with that. I've got to be honest. If he would have won a couple of League Cups or a couple of FA Cups, we wouldn't be running around doing cartwheels. But at the same time, we'd be saying at least this team's won something. At least he can
get into finals, bro.
Bruv, this is my problem. He's got to get across the line, man. But look, people, we're going to leave it there. Big up to every single one of you that's here. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. And big up to Deluded, man. What you got coming up, bro?
Later today, I'm gonna go over Mikel Arteta's press conference, kind of just have a bit of a laugh and a joke with the subscribers, and just go over like the talking points and whatnot. And I've watched the PSG game again, so I've provided a bit of a tactical analysis of sorts. And yeah, tomorrow it's Arsenal Bournemouth watch along, and then all eyes turn towards Wednesday, man. So yeah, like yourself, always making content, Dan, man. I'll be locked into the panels and whatnot on the platform, man. Gonna go rewatch the one last week, because last night I didn't watch it all.
Oh man, nah, come on, bro. Always got time for you, man. You're working unbelievably hard. So make sure you show Deluded some love.
Appreciate it.
His channel's in the title. All you got to do is click it. Go subscribe. Let's get him up to 100K. The guy's working harder than anyone. So let's make sure that we do that.
Nah, not yourself, man. But I'm running you close.
Man, we're similar, man. We're similar. Come on. Yeah,
we had midfielders like us.
Every time I'm on YouTube, you're live as well, man. So it's what it is.
True.
But show some love, man. And listen. Make sure you hit like and subscribe. Let's get us up to 40K people. And we'll see you next time on the next one. We're out of here, people. Layers.